Hello and welcome to part 13 of my Hogwarts MOC series, and it must be lucky 13 because we have finally got to the Hufflepuff common room as I promised, and then April fooled you and then swapped it out for a different video, and we have finally got there, so it had better live up to the hype. Apologies if it doesn't. It's quite a small build, but I'm quite proud of it and what I've managed to get into the space. So first things first, we're starting off with a somewhat familiar view. This is of course the entrance courtyard outside the Great Hall. I've just taken it off the display table and popped it onto my building desk so I can get a better view of it. You can just see my little scene that I set up a while ago of Professor Trelawney being fired by Professor Umbridge. And I just thought I'd start here so I could show you partly the Hufflepuff common room and also what else I've been doing with the castle. So this previously was all one piece, the rockwork, the steps which go down to the boathouse, which sits just here, and then the courtyard on top. But as well as doing the Hufflepuff common room, the other project I've been working on is making the castle even more modular than it was already. Modular in the sense that the different buildings are their own kind of modules and they fit together. That was always the case. But now it's a little bit more modular in the same way that the modular buildings are, in that the floors can lift off. I'm going to do a separate video just looking at how I've done that around the castle, as well as a few alterations I've had to make, but you'll get a sneak peek as I take the courtyard off, so it should come off fairly easily. There we go. It's just on one 16 by 16 plate. So you take that off, pops over there, and you get your first view of the Hufflepuff common room. Just quickly before we dive in, you can see that I've tiled the area all around the edge just here, except for two places where I've used these modified plates. They're just the 2x2 jumpers, and I use those to hold the courtyard on. I've done the same for all of my buildings, where I've put at least two studs depending on the size, in order to hold those in place and make sure that things don't fall off. So without further ado, I will adjust the camera and we'll have a proper look inside. So here we are, down at a more minifigure eye view, and we will do the dramatic turn as we come all the way around to the Hufflepuff common room. I'll just give you a proper look down from the top first, and then we'll get even lower to go get a look in. So as I said, it's a very small space, and I do apologise to anyone who's disappointed with what I've managed to achieve here, but I'm quite proud given the fact that I didn't have a lot of space to work with in the first place, and I've managed to fit quite a few nice details in. So you can just see there's a couple of armchairs and a rug on the floor, little desk or a little side table with a lamp, some colours, banners on the wall, fireplace, bookcase, and then a door off to the rest of Hufflepuff House. So let me just adjust this once more so we can get down to a better height. And there we go, that really is a minifigure's eye view now. So we're just seeing in through the archway on this side, and this is the side that faces the rest of the castle. So I chose not to put a wall in there just for easier access, because it's basically the back of the room. So when it's all in place, you can't actually see through there. So now we've got two ways of looking in and getting some light in through the top and through the side here. But the one thing that is missing is a way to get into the common room for the minifigures, because obviously in real life, that was little tiny air quotes, there wouldn't be a gaping hole in the side of the common room here. So what I've actually done is to create an entryway around the side here. So to put this into context, this wall is opposite where the painting of the fruit is to get into the kitchens, and I took a little bit of inspiration from some stuff that I found online. The Hufflepuff common room is the one common room that we never visit in any of the books or the films, and so there's just a few descriptions you've got to go off, plus details and things that have been made up for the various games over the years. So I've cobbled those together and come up with something that I'm pretty happy with. Now, each common room has a different way that you enter. Obviously, you've got the portrait of the Fat Lady for the Gryffindor common room, and then you've got to answer a riddle to get into the Ravenclaw. So I was having a look at the ways that you're supposed to get into the Hufflepuff common room. Now, I think there were a couple. I can't really remember what the alternatives were, but the one that really caught my attention was the idea of it being behind a barrel or a stack of barrels. Now, obviously, this is the corridor in the kitchens, or just opposite the kitchens, so it kind of made sense to me that there'd be some barrels of, well, definitely not alcohol, considering it's at school, but barrels of something, let's say fruit, given the painting's opposite, and I thought it would be neat to have a little bit of access behind a stack of barrels. Now, obviously, it was a little bit tricky, and what I came up with in the end was these two little alcoves or niches. Maybe a little bit grand to stack your barrels in, but I thought it was a nice little solution. And the reason that there are two of them is that I wanted to disguise the door as best as I could. So you'll see that the barrels are actually stacked on these modified plates. They're the 2x3, but then the one end is rounded with a hole going through it. So what I've done is I've stacked the barrels on top of there, and you'll notice this one, nothing happens if I try to wiggle it around, but then we get to this one, and you might have already guessed what's happening. Give it a push, and the entire wall swings back, and you can get a good look into the common room from there. I think it's great. It was a nice little thing that I decided to come up with, trying to find a way to make sure that the wall was flush and disguised properly, and obviously so that the barrels could swing and they miss this side of the arch perfectly, and I think actually if that had been a squared off plate that wouldn't have worked, so I was very happy that it worked with the rounded plate. So that's how you get into my Hufflepuff common room. The door just folds back like that. You can see from the top that it just folds back on itself, and that's one of the reasons why I've not actually put anything against this wall, because I want all of that space so that the door opens completely. So it does take up a lot of space, but I think it's a nice little addition, nice little Easter egg, and I will try and put this into context with the kitchens at the end of the video, just to show you what I was talking about before. Okay, let's have a proper look inside. But before we do that, let's actually look at that view of the entrance in context, so you can see it next to the kitchens here. This is the door to the kitchens. I've got the house elf statue, and then this arch here with the two smaller arches inside, and then the door just opens like that. So I think with the two of them there and being off to the side, it's a nice little disguise, and there's an extra bit of tiling just there, so it doesn't look like the plinths they're standing on are just hovering in the air. I may actually change the way that this is constructed and just change it to single brick going across the top there, just so you can actually see the arches a little bit better inside. I may not. Who knows? Something for the future, but I think it works well as it is now. So just going back to a similar view as the one we had before, just to show you in a little bit more detail, we have got a fireplace built into the wall over there, and that's just a very simple build with some slopes up top, modified bricks with the two studs on the side just to hold these details here. A little bit of a grating in front there. The light's not fantastic, but there are just a couple of little flames in there. I actually used the small candle flames just because they fit in better, and I've actually run out of the trans orange plume-like flames. I've got loads of trans neon orange ones for some reason, but I don't really want to use those. I don't like them. And then just around the fire, you've got a couple of armchairs. Obviously, this is taking inspiration from the Gryffindor common room, but I imagined that the Hufflepuff common room would be quite a nice, comfortable place to sit. The kind of thing I'm imagining is kind of inspired by a Hobbit hole. I've done a review of the Bag End set, An Unexpected Gathering, which I will link in the corner, just if you want to have an idea of what I was thinking of while I was building this, and I think I've achieved that kind of cozy effect that I was looking for. So these armchairs are built in a very similar way to the one I built for my library, and that was actually a design which I've mostly copied from Hagrid's Hut, the most recent set, and I think the Central Perk set has something very similar. Simple build anyway, you can see how those have come together. I've just done two of them, just so we can have at least a couple of people sitting around the fire. The rug is both a nice detail and also functional in that it holds the two 8x16 plates together. I could have used a 16x16, but I happen to have two 8x16s, and it seemed silly to pay, a couple of pounds or however much those plates cost. They are not cheap, they're big bits of plastic. And then for the lamp on the table there, I wanted to stick with the yellow and black theme. Incidentally, this isn't the regular yellow. This is the bright yellowish orange or flame yellow. It's called lots of different things. And I just went with it because it's a little bit warmer. Arguably, I should have used the regular yellow, which is what has been used in every other LEGO set. It's used in the Quidditch set. It's used on the Hufflepuff uniforms, Cedric's Triwizard uniform, but you know what, I really like this and I'm not too worried about these slight differences. I was really pleased that the little fez piece came in that colour as well as a nice little lampshade, as well as the bowl piece just here, which I've used as the light hanging. I'll just take that off so you can see what I've done. So it's just one of those bowl pieces, which is normally that way up, with one of those T-shaped pneumatic pieces and a couple of clips, and then it's a hollow stud and then a round 1x1 tile just to show that there's some light. Hard to see normally, but I just like it. It's a nice little detail and it just hangs there secured by a tile. Going further on into the common room, there is a bookcase at the back there. If I can get it to focus on that. There we go. Yep, there we go. Actually, tell you what, it can come out. So why don't I pull that on out? Probably because it'll break a heart, break in parts if I take it out. That's most of it. There we go. So that is the bookcase. It's built in almost exactly the same way as the one I built for my quad building. So it's just those modified bricks with plates and tiles stuck in the middle. And then there's just a few studs that it rests on inside there. And last but not least in the room itself is the door at the back. So I will just get it to focus on that again. So that is the door at the back, and you might be wondering, where does that door go? And the answer to that is, well, in my head it goes to the rest of Hufflepuff House, and in reality it goes to absolutely nowhere. So let me just bring the camera back a bit so I can show you where the door goes. So it's just here. And right behind it are the boathouse steps. So in the reality of my build, it actually doesn't go anywhere, but I just think it's a nice little detail that suggests that the common room goes off into the distance and has a little bit more to it. Incidentally, if you want to see from the bottom, it is completely bricked in here. There's actually a brick right behind the door, so it can open that much. Don't even know if you can see it from there. Apologies for that last bit being a little bit out of focus. Just having a tough time trying to adjust the camera and the focus and trying to get you a good view. Might be just because it's a little bit dark inside here. But it would be even darker if I hadn't gone around and added the tiles to the outside here so that I could remove the courtyard. So that's definitely something that was worthwhile doing. And like I said, I'm going to look at that in the future. So that kind of wraps it up for the Hufflepuff common room. I'm sorry to anyone who finds it a little bit underwhelming. If you do have any suggestions of things I could change or add, then that would be amazing. I did think about using some stickers from the Hubology Classroom Hogwarts Moment set, possibly on this angled panel in the corner here, but I don't really know if they're going to fit. So maybe if I get that set or I get that sticker sheet, that'll be something I do. If not, this is basically done. I've just got a few other tiles to order, just to neaten things up, basically. There's a couple of slightly older tiles I've got here that I want to replace. But apart from that, I'm pretty happy, and that rounds off this kind of section of the castle. Now I've done the Hufflepuff common room and the kitchens, and then obviously done the Great Hall and the courtyard. I have made a few changes to the Great Hall, which I think I will leave for my overview of the modular changes to the castle. Nothing drastic, it was just changing a few details around inside, and I actually took the whole thing apart and rebuilt it, and I think I've made it a little bit stronger because it tended to fall apart before, if not handled correctly. So I'm hoping I've solved that problem. And yeah, that'll come in my next video, what'll probably be my next video. The other thing to say is that I have made a few changes to my Lego room setup, which I will also be doing a video about. I might post a couple of photos on Instagram just to give you a sneak peek of what has happened. But I've done some changes, got some new furniture and new ways of storing the Lego. So yeah, I'm really excited to share that with you. So thank you very much for your patience in waiting for this video, and I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, you can drop a like down below, and please subscribe to the channel as well. I'm always eager to see your comments. I posted about it yesterday, when you're watching this, that I've just gone over 500 subscribers, which is amazing. So thank you to everyone who has subscribed so far, and I look forward to the next. God knows how many. If I can keep this up for another few months, we might hit that, hit 1,000 or more. I'm dreaming at this point, but it would be absolutely wonderful. So I will see you in the next video. Have a good time, and I will see you then. Bye.